Part 24. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 231. For other students, the training projects are personal projects that they need to participate in. In other words, now it's about working hard for yourself. At the same time. In fact, students in Class C also have advantages. Because they have no community. 80% of the students in Class C are in the free club, so they have a lot of free time. In other words, there are more opportunities for self-training. Houtarou-san, can you train again? Yukamura-san said breathlessly. This is the difficulty of academic masters. It seems that most academic masters have the disadvantage of insufficient exercise. Yukamura-san obviously looks very thin, but his legs and feet are still strong, but when he was asked to test his standing long jump, he was only 1.6 meters, which is very weak. The same goes for physical fitness. Mr. Hirata of Class C, who is excellent in all aspects, has tried his best to let go. But Yukamura-san still feels rushed. In the end, Hirata-san gave up taking the lead and let Yukimura take control when the two of them had 3 kicks. Although the speed was slower, he managed to pass the test at least. Oreki-san, on the other hand, only glanced at it and then looked away. Because Class C has asked Ichi-nose and the others to release the water. The students in Class B will let them go directly to this project and choose the super free ones in this group. So it's almost good. But it's not boys he's paying attention to either. So he quickly looked for Kushida-san, who was reporting the situation to him. Kushida-san doesn't like Horikita Suzune. This is a very intuitive expression, or she thinks and displays it this way both on the surface and on the inside. Otherwise, there would be no such behavior as kicking the railing and scolding Horikita. And Kushida-san actually took the initiative to send messages to Horikita-san when he was in trouble, probably because it was hindering Horikita Suzune from becoming friends with her. Kushida often says that she will treat all her friends fairly. So if she finds out that Horikita Suzune is in trouble, she will still show a little concern as a friend. So now that you have discovered that Horikita-san is in trouble, why don't you deal with it directly? Obviously she won't do that. Because Kushida-san has friendship with Horikita-san, but not much. The reason is that Oreki-san looked towards the group of girls in Class C and immediately found Kushida. Even though Kushida-san was wearing a cheap smile that she gave to everyone, it was clear that the smile she showed towards the group of girls who were having a threesome was particularly bright. It was initially determined that something happened there that made her feel particularly happy. The required events for participation include 100-meter run, 200-meter run, hurdle race, inversion pole race, only for boys, ball throwing competition, only for girls, tug of war for men and women, obstacle race, tripod, and horseback riding. It's easy to run and hurdle by yourself, but it would be bad if you accidentally get injured in an event like horseback riding, so the students in Class C also gave up training, but 2 people and 3 legs can be trained. So most of the girls are now training with 2 people and 3 legs. However, there was a problem in the girls' team. It's a very striking combination. The combination of Horikita Suzune and Onodera, who ranks second among the girls in the class in terms of athletic ability. Of course Horikita doesn't need to say much. Horikita-san is the sister of that Horikita brother. And her strength in all aspects is actually pretty good. Like getting an academically. At the same time, his athletic talent is not low either. That's why when I was assigned to Class D at the beginning, I always felt that something was wrong. In other words, she was regarded as a seed player and was placed in Class D. Horikita-san won first place in the girls' 100-meter test, and was also selected as a member of Class C for the final 1,200-meter relay. And Onodera is a girl in the swimming club, and I heard she is also a pretty good sprinter. Both of them are among the best in physical fitness among girls. It stands to reason that if the two of them join forces, they should be able to leave other students far behind, but this is not the case. Not only were the speed of the two of them not faster than the others, they were even not as fast as ordinary people. Horikita-kun, can't you cooperate with me again? This is already the third time. After training for a while, Onodera-san untied the rope and gasped. Oreki-san came over with Kushida-san's obviously gloating eyes, and he had already come to a conclusion before even asking. Because he heard Horikita-san say, "Indeed, the rhythm is not right. But, this is not my fault, but you are too slow. It is only natural to match the pace of fast runners, because it would be weird if you have to spend time to compromise because of this." As Horikita-san said this, he seemed to find it strange and did not think that he had done anything wrong. Listen, is she speaking human language? It was impossible to easily keep up with Horikita, who ran at the fastest pace without permission. Because the human limit is there, and this limit cannot be expanded all of a sudden. So Oreki-san instantly understood what made Kushida feel happy. This is probably what it means. In these several exams, and even in this sports festival, some people were reluctant to listen to what Horikita Suzun said, but they still recognized her in the end. So, in Kushida's opinion, it's probably because of Horikita Suzun's popularity. She was very unhappy. But now, Horikita-san's inhumanity and lack of understanding of people's hearts immediately destroyed her favorability among girls. And the girls' group is different from the boys' group. When they have a problem with you, even if they have a good relationship just now, they can start fighting immediately. At least after Horikita said this, many girls looked over. He stared at Horikita with a strange look. And Horikita-san, who is used to being treated coldly by other people, is very calm. Moreover, she believed that as long as what she did was right and what she said was right, she didn't need to change. Although, now she also noticed that the air around her seemed to have changed. But he still felt that he was standing there without any fault. He is really a person who is not good at adapting. Didn't you see that everyone else was dumbfounded by her theory? Oreki-san gently pressed his forehead with his left hand. There is really nothing that can be done to her. Although on the ship, Horikita's sister held his hand, and she already felt like the future lawyer Horikita. But after all, this is a difference of 10 years. And what's here is still Horikita Suzun's true form. At the same time, Oreki-san is still responsible for taking care of Horikita's sister and unceremoniously accepts 50,000 points from Horikita's brother every month to educate his sister, so he really doesn't do anything. It's obviously unreasonable. Certainly. This is one of the reasons. Another thing is that he himself was very moved after seeing Horikita-san changing his underwear. This was something that he couldn't make up for when he saw Kushida-san without any clothes on. And this is probably why Kushida has been treating him so badly these days. So it must be a lie to say that he has no interest in Horikita-san. Otherwise, there would be no need to hold hands every day. This is to increase my resistance to Horikita-san's body. So, although it is impossible to make a choice, it is not even clear who is the true love. But Oreki would not just ignore Horikita Suzun being ostracized. After all, if this is not handled properly, Horikita-san may be opposed by the girls if she speaks next time. This is not a good thing. It's just that at this time, it's easy for boys to interfere in the situation, which can easily cause public outrage, but the girls' problems can be solved by the girls. In this way, he immediately started looking for tools when something happened. There is a tool man who really likes to be used by him. Although this was a bit exaggerated, Oreki felt that the other party seemed to like this way of getting along. So, Kuruzawa-san, who had just completed the two-person three-legged training with Satsuki Shinohara in his class, noticed that his phone vibrated. Shinohara had already untied the rope at this time, and Kuruzawa-san showed an expression of disbelief and dissatisfaction when he saw the message, But this expression only lasted for a moment. She immediately took action. What happened? Kuruzawa-san then walked to the girls' team as if he didn't know anything yet. I grabbed the nearest person and asked. This person is an acquaintance. He has long pink hair but is dressed in an old-fashioned way. He is dressed up in two big twin tails and wears pink framed flat glasses on his face. And this is Sakura Eri. Sakura-san gained a friend during the training of the sports festival. The name is Hospi Haruka. A girl with long blue hair and a tear mole. The two often missed the physical education classes in class because they were too big to exercise. However, the two of them didn't talk much and stayed with each other peacefully. But this time, because of poor physical fitness, it was difficult to find girls to team up with them. After all, same-sex threesomes are a required test. Everyone has to think about themselves and cannot be burdened. So the two were left. So we formed a team. But because the speeds are about the same and the burdens are also about the same, we found a good balance. It was discovered that, together, they were not at the bottom among the girls. And now I have just had one round of training. So Sakura-san and her friend Poriga had already finished a round of training and were resting, but Kuruzawa appeared directly in front of her. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 232. Although Eri doesn't have a strong sense of presence, he has a strong sense of observation. So the subconscious answer is. It seems, how should I put it, it seems that Horikita-san and Onodera-san had a quarrel. It seemed that Horikita-san forcefully asked Onodera-san to cooperate with her, but Onodera-san felt that Horikita-san wanted to accommodate her, and then they started to quarrel. Kuruzawa. However, Eri turned around and saw that the person who asked her was Kuruzawa Megami, and was immediately shocked. Woo! Eri was very afraid of Kuruzawa because of the incident where he was ridiculed by the hot girls for taking a photo of Oreki on the ship. So he immediately stepped back in fear. Kuruzawa was speechless. She had already clarified to Oreki-san that she was not trying to bully Sakura. But I couldn't tell Sakura these things. She needs to maintain the image she has created here. So I can only feel sorry for Sakura in my heart. But now is not the time to talk to Eri. All she could think about now was the message Oreki sent her. Megami, help Horikita. Horikita is stupid, help her solve the problem, and don't let her rating drop. I'm a boy and it's hard to deal with. You go and deal with it. This piece of information seemed incredible to her. Because the girls in the class also talk about Oreki-san from Class A. And Kushida-san also speculated that Oreki-san often met Horikita-san, so he thought the two were dating. But Horikita-san rejected it without hesitation. Houtarou himself has said that he thinks high school should be about studying, not falling in love. Result. Now there's something wrong with Horikita, and she hasn't noticed it even among the girls, so you'll know the result. And then, he actually asked her to help solve it. Kuruzawa is now very doubtful whether Houtarou's statement about not falling in love during high school is true. Or maybe he just wanted to reject her politely. If it's the latter, it's really frustrating. And thinking about it. However, Kuruzawa did not stop moving and walked directly in the direction of Horikita Suzune. It really needs to be dealt with. Oreki, who was paying attention from a distance, murmured. I'm afraid Horikita-san is in such a state that her relationship with girls will explode. It's indeed my stupid sister. However, a familiar voice came from behind him. Oreki immediately turned around, only to find that Horikita-san's incomprehensible behavior was seen by the person who should least be able to see it. Is the student council president patrolling? Oreki asked, pretending to be relaxed. Well, because the sports meeting is coming soon, I will do a patrol. In the morning, I will run around the school about 10 times. As long as I get up at 5 o'clock, I will be in time for class. Oreki, you can try it. Horikita Manabu wrote. No. Oreki was not interested in abusing himself in the morning. And he cheated, so he didn't need to do this kind of training. Besides, at 5 o'clock, he would definitely not be allowed to come out from under the covers. The quilt will pamper him until 7 o'clock every day. But, looking at it this way, after cheating, I have slightly lost some of the pleasure of becoming stronger. Only. Horikita Manabu said. You seem to have gone to see Naun. How are you? Are you interested in the student union? No. Oreki-san shook his head. You have too much work. Horikita learned. Is this really the reason? Indeed. When he was in the school cafeteria, he sat at the back table of Oreki and Sakayanagi Arisu's usual dining table, and then he also heard their opinions on the position of student council president. In the end, neither of them seemed to want it. Or it looks like it will be completely rectified after you get it. As for Oreki Houtarou's resistance at the time, Horikita later tried it out on his own, probably because he felt that his work was too troublesome. As a result, I still feel mixed after being told this directly. Then where is Nagamo? Horikita Manabu seemed to be very interested. I have a need to beat Nagamo in the grade-wide relay race, Oreki said. Oh, Horikita-san nodded. So you mean, you also want to defeat me? Because I was also the last one. So you are quite unconvinced, right? Oreki-san recalled that when he was in school, he saw Horikita's brother asking Horikita's sister to drop out of school. At that time, Oreki-san experienced the supremacy of force of the student council president. At that time, Horikita Manabu also mistakenly interpreted his teleportation as extremely fast, and even evaluated him as the limit of human beings. And Horikita and I definitely cannot reach the limit of human beings. And now Horikita brother is still saying this. In other words, Horikita brother judges that his side is the limit of human beings, but he still has the will to fight. In other words, Horikita Nii and Horikita Suzun are actually similar. They are both the type who don't like to admit defeat. So, just when Oreki-san felt that he understood Horikita Nii better, he noticed that his phone vibrated. Because I received a text message from Kuruzawa. The mission has been completed. Is it that fast? But do you like Horikita Suzun that much, by Kuruzawa? It was also quickly questioned. Chapter 098 The Sports Festival begins. Sakayanagi, you have a fetish, you need to be cured. Although Oreki-san was indeed questioned, Kuruzawa did complete the task. Because looking towards the girls, you can see that Horikita Suzun and Onodera have tied their belts again, and then they are doing three-legged training. And Horikita Suzun no longer rushed forward alone like a sharp blade, but deliberately slowed down a little for Onodera. Although they are not very compatible yet, if they both give in to each other, they will probably become a good fighting force. By the way, how did Kuruzawa solve this? Of course it is very troublesome to deal with. I was very happy when I received the message from Oreki-san. The messages she sent him were all prompted by special ringtones. As a result, the message she finally received from him asked her to rescue Horikita Suzun. Oreki-san had explained to her when they were on the ship that he and Horikita-san were probably colluding partners. And Horikita-san is also very brave. On the ship, she not only beat Manabe and the others, but also took photos. As a result, Manabe and the others really didn't dare to come to her. And when I saw that pear blossom when I returned to school, that pear blossom would hide herself. Although she felt shunned, Hui felt that this outcome seemed to be the best. So from this perspective, Kuruzawa actually admires Horikita. Because Horikita-san is Oreki-san's executor. So, what kind of stupidity did Horikita-san commit now? So, what happened? Kuruzawa-san pretended to have just reached the center of the conflict. Kuruzawa and Onodera, who just felt shocked by Horikita Suzun's remarks, quickly said, "You don't know. Horikita is saying things that I can't understand. She and I are doing 3 kicks together. Her speed is fast, and mine is slower, but she actually asked me to go faster to catch up with her speed. Oh. This is really an incredible statement. But it is indeed what Horikita-san might say. Hui actually knew. In fact, when Horikita-san entered school, everyone felt that she was very aloof. Then, unlike her side, which deliberately kept a distance from the boys also spoke badly of her. But it doesn't matter, she doesn't care. As for Horikita-san, her relationship with the boys was very bad from the beginning. But the bad thing is that the boys thought Horikita-san was pretty and wanted to get in touch with her, but they were immediately rejected by her. What? If you're just looking for a romantic partner, can you please just leave me alone? I'm not interested. I think you should go to school well while you are in school. So falling in love costs money and wastes time, and your grades are not good either. Come to think of it, it's such a simple test paper, if you just take a little time, why do you fail dash? And so on. Deflated and feeling inferior, the boys in the class left. Kurosawa thinks Horikita-san's personality is very unique, but he probably doesn't have many friends, and he doesn't really understand people's hearts and atmosphere. So Horikita-san is really cool when he says that slow people should catch up with fast people. Because people have limits, such as speed. When running, even if it is shortened by 0.1 seconds, it may take 10 years to achieve it. So Horikita-kun, it's really great that you said this. As for the small conflicts between girls, they may be big, but they will become smaller if they are small. In fact, as long as they give a small step, such as, I just said something wrong, then maybe they can be overcome. So, now that she comes over to ask again, Horikita-san can still say that she just said the wrong thing and fool him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 233. So. I just stated my thoughts, Horikita Suzun said. Speaking of which, I don't think there is anything wrong with me. I want to achieve results. So as long as Onodera can keep up with me, I can be sure that she can probably get first or second place. So I think if she works harder, then my and her individual competition scores will be very good. Megami understood. Horikita Suzun didn't use it at all or didn't even know about the steps arranged for her. So, Houtarou really found a troublesome job for her. But, Horikita-kun, you don't have any experience with 2 people and 3 legs, Kurosawa said. I'm sorry, your statement makes me feel incredible. Is that so? Horikita Suzun frowned slightly. It is indeed my first time to have sex with someone after reading the rules. Is there any problem with this? I think the rules should be correct. Oh. When Horikita-san said this, he immediately caught the eyes of the girls around him. However, there is quite a lot of sympathy in this sight. But Megami knew that a moment of sympathy was not enough, because he might also laugh at Horikita-san for always being alone, and not even having any experience with friends. Boom. So, Houtarou, you really gave her a hard time. Because I have to maintain Horikita Suzun's reputation. Then there's a big problem. Your speed is relatively fast, but do you think it's more suitable to catch up with you or to suppress your own speed and cooperate with Onodera-san? It takes 10 days for a person to develop a habit. But it takes 21 days to stabilize it. And now it is the 5th. And there are still 17 days until the sports festival on the 27th. Let's not talk about how difficult it is to improve physical fitness. In this process, more training is required, and some problems may arise in the middle. If these problems affect other exams, do you think it is okay? Kuruzawa said. Don't forget, Onodera-san is the main fighting force among the girls in our class. Or do you think the required test items for you and Onodera's two-person three-legged test are the most important? The one that can get the most points. Most of the students in our class are not good at sports, so we rely on physically strong people like Onodera, Tsuyodo, and Hirata to pull points, Kuruzawa said. The other girls also nodded. Of course. Because most girls do rely on Onodera and the others to get points. Their own project still needs the help of the angels from Class B. At this point, and Horikita Suzun seemed to pause for a moment. Because I also started thinking. Which one is the most efficient? If it were herself, she would definitely feel that she was faster, so she could get a ranking by completing the race as quickly as possible. However, she will also find out about the two efficiency-related books that Oreki Houtarou lent her. Pure efficiency is of no use, it must be used sustainably and flexibly. And Oreki-san stopped her from participating in the mixed threesome, but Onodera participated in the recommended threesome. At that time, Onodera had to team up with Tsuyodo or Hirata-san to score points. As a girl, Onodera's speed would definitely not be able to catch up with Hirata-kun or Tsuyodo-san, who was used as a sacrifice. So can Onodera be asked to catch up with Tsuyodo or Hirata? It certainly can't be done. In this way, could she still be so demanding of Onodera? She and Onodera participated in the two-person three-legged competition that was compulsory for individuals. Even if they got first place, their points would not be as good as those in recommended events. And if Onodera's body is dragged down, he will be the sinner of the class. Seeing that Horikita Suzun was finally willing to think, Kuruzawa breathed a sigh of relief. Because Horikita-san also has merits. She is a person who doesn't like to read the atmosphere, or can't understand the atmosphere at all. So, she won't care if she makes a mistake and is unable to admit it. At the same time, Horikita-san is indeed very popular in the class during these exams. Demonstrated quite clear thinking. So as long as she figures it out, that's fine. Something like this. Then, I'm sorry, what I just said was not thought through. Horikita Suzun put her hands on her knees and bowed slightly towards Onodera. For it. Onodera seemed to be surprised by this. No, I think I went too far, I didn't expect you, Horikita-san, to have two-person and three-legged experience. Onodera also said quickly. Then continue training, and I will work hard to keep up with you. In this way. Because Kuruzawa-san completed the mission, Oreki-san also separated from Horikita-san. Because he knew that Hui must have something to ask here. For example. By the way, do you really like Horikita Suzun that much? Kuruzawa seemed to leave the group of girls on the pretext of taking a break, and then came to the stairs of the teaching building. And Oreki-san is sitting next to the vending machine here. So she came over and said. It was no longer the mode of sending messages, but it was said directly when seeing him. Would you like some water? Oreki-san came to the vending machine for a reason. I didn't bring Kamuro-san with me, so I had to buy water by myself. Megami's eyes fell on the mineral water handed over by Oreki-san. The water is on. And it seemed like he had been given a sip. Well. In other words, was he the one who handed over the water he drank? Aren't you going to drink? Oreki-san looked at her. Well. And does this want her to drink? Do you still want to watch her drink it? She obviously wanted to ask Houtarou whether he was rejecting her politely because he liked Horikita Suzun. But now, does he want to kiss her indirectly? What kind of play is this to play with her? Well. Aren't you going to drink? Oreki-san paid attention. Maybe Houtarou doesn't have this idea. For example, Horikita-san is really his collaborator, so asking her to help is just not easy for him to do. After all, Horikita-san is also such a straight girl. I never imagined falling in love. So, maybe she misunderstood or something. But in this case, it means that Houtarou has no idea of falling in love, so asking her to drink water now is just asking her to drink water, rather than wanting to kiss her indirectly. So it was just her who misunderstood, it was just her who misunderstood. Then it's not a big deal. Then Kuruzawa's hands held the water bottle. Well. Hui felt that her face must have turned red and turned into a red tomato. In this way. After realizing that he had just handed the water to Kuruzawa, Oreki-san decided to ask Ichino-san for help if she questioned his statement about whether he had a relationship in high school. Result. It was clear that his text message asking for help from Ichino's had been edited, but Megami only questioned it when he came over, but in the end he did not talk about this topic again. Just a blushing face. Therefore, his message to consult Archangel Ichino's could not be sent. And so the day passed. Oreki went to Sakayanagi-san to pet his own cat, then returned to the dormitory and teleported home. Because this month is the sports festival for all students in the school, even the teaching has been adjusted. The physical education class was originally twice a week, but now it is 5 times a week. Every day after school is the training time organized by each class. There are also individual competitions that must be taken. So everyone is training very hard. However, Oreki-san also made 2 arrangements here. One of them is to receive 20 minutes of special training organized by the class every day, and then go to Mr. Majima's place. This is a school where strength is paramount, and with enough points, you can buy anything. And Mashima-sensei frowned. Are you sure you want to rent this thing? Mr. Mashima looked at the application form Oreki submitted and frowned slightly. Although this school puts strength first, in order to adapt to some dark places in society, it also allows some slightly outrageous behaviors. But there are some things that require special attention. That is. What Oreki wants to rent is a voice recorder. This relatively sensitive device needs to be reported to the class teacher. Oreki, you have to know that if you don't pay attention to the things you spend points to buy this time, they will be regarded as dangerous items, teacher Mashima reminded. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 234. I understand, Oreki-san said. And I think it's necessary to use it this time. And the school can completely review where I have used it? Since you said that, there's nothing you can do about it, teacher Mashima then stamped his seal on the form he submitted. While Oreki-san went to rent a voice recorder, some students in the class could also take a break. For example, Kamuro-san. In addition to her own 9 individual events, the events she needs to participate in are the 1,200-meter relay for all grades, and the mixed 3-legged event for men and women with Houtarou Oreki. Thank you for your hard work, Kamuro-san. Kamuro got some rest time, only to find that Sakayanagi Arisu actually came to the playground holding his cane. But she probably didn't come alone, she also brought an orange cat with her. The cat is not small, weighing a full 10 pounds. But he also considered that if he ate any more, he would gain weight, so Sakayanagi would often take the cat out for a walk after school. Think of it as weight loss for cats. As a Taiji's dog, Kamuro-san also knew that this cat was raised by Houtarou Oreki's family. Oreki-san spent his own money to bring his family pet to school, but instead of him raising it, it became a Taiji's raising. The reason is that Sakayanagi-san seems to feel lonely. So, she has always been suspicious of the relationship between the two. Are they really dating? But, speaking of which, Kamuro-kun, didn't you notice, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. Kamuro looked at her in confusion. The weather is getting colder, Princess Sakayanagi said. Profound. This. But it's only around July, isn't it the hot season of summer? My health is not good, but I feel a little cold, she said. Kamuro-san also noticed that Itaiji was only wearing a white short-sleeved sportswear. Not wearing a coat. And her constitution is indeed very bad, so she will feel cold even in this weather. Wrong. After all, Kamuro-san has been following Yuzu Itaiji. Therefore, he understands better than other students what kind of person Sakayanagi is. She knows that Sakayanagi Arisu often doesn't say the whole thing or only half of it, and you need to understand it yourself. And now, I really want this. Kamuro-san finally understood what Sakayanagi Yuzu wanted. So she took off her sportswear jacket and handed it to Sakayanagi. Thank you, Sakayanagi said. After taking it, he put it on his body. I feel Kamuro-san's warmth, she said. He. I believe you. However, Kamuro felt that Sakayanaga's symptoms might not be good. Because Oreki Houtarou's eraser disappeared last week, he searched around but couldn't find it, but Kamuro knew that Sakayanagi took the eraser when Oreki left the classroom. That is to say, it was intentional. Therefore, Sakayanagi Arisu seems to have a bit of a fetish. And the reason why she is borrowing clothes from her now is just because she and Oreki-san have just been practicing two-person three-legged training together, so the coat will have Oreki-san's scent on it. Kamuro-san feels that this is not a good habit. But Sakayanagi seemed to have a new request. Speaking of which, where did Oreki-san go? Where did you go? To accomplish something that needs to be done, of course. He spent 200,000 to invite Kojinjiro Kusuke, and then also spent 100,000 points to invite Syoto. Then the starting gun starts from my side. Horikita Suzun stood at the starting point, and Oreki-san stood at the finishing point. Accompanied by a starting gun. Takahiraji and Syoto rushed out instantly. Syoto is extremely fast, but Takahiraji is even faster. Soon Syoto could only see his back. And this distance is maintained until the planting point of 100 meters. Syoto's physical fitness is very good, but running 100 meters once does not make him feel tired. However, he was devastated. By the way, Yuanji, are you really not going to participate in the sports meeting? And Syoto discovered that he was obviously the sports wall catcher that everyone praised. He had poor academic ability before, and then even though he had the answer, he just failed the exam, 1 point away from the passing line. I almost dropped out of school. But now the sports festival is his stage, because everyone recognizes his athletic ability. The result, this guy Gao Yuanji. It is indeed too strong. Sports meeting? That's a competition for mortals. I won't participate, Gao Yuanji said. And Kojinji had already arrived at the finish line where Oreki-san was looking at the stopwatch. By the way, you spent 200,000 points specifically to let me run this 100 meters. Oreki-san, what do you want to do this time? Gao Yuanji said. He felt that Oreki-san's physical ability would not be inferior to his. So why specially invite him over? Of course, if Oreki-san asks him for a challenge, he can accept it for free. He is also interested. Instead of being like this, bullying Syoto. So, what does Oreki want to do now? What do you want to do? Of course. 100 meters, then the time is 9 seconds 88. And is this the limit of human beings? Oreki-san recorded it. Takahiraji felt that competing with ordinary people was bullying, and for Oreki-san, competing with anyone was also like bullying anyone, so he decided to only use human speed to compete. In this way, after controlling his speed to drop to the human limit, on July 27, at 7:50 in the morning, the sports festival of Akyosei High School started. At 7:45 in the morning, all students gathered in the gymnasium, but also went to the playground in an orderly manner for the opening ceremony. Oreki-san is following the team of Class A. Although Sakayanagi couldn't participate in the competition, she still participated in the opening ceremony. In fact, when you stand on the playground, you will find that there are many people sitting in the auditorium around the stadium. They should be faculty or staff at the shopping mall. This part of the school does not seem to have any special regulations. It seems that you can come and see if you want, and you can see them smiling and even waving. On the other hand, there are no smiling teachers among the school's teachers. The only thing that attracts attention is the medical-related adults wearing white coats. In addition, the school has also built a cabin that can accommodate about 20 people, and is equipped with air conditioning, drinking fountains and other facilities. This should be as well prepared as when it was an uninhabited island. By the way, the competing red and white teams set up tents facing each other across the track. As a result, students in the two major groups have almost no contact with each other except during competitions. But as a student, what needs to be focused on now is the opening ceremony. At the opening ceremony, it was Fujimaki who was still in class of the third year who made the opening declaration. Although a lot of what Fujimaki-senpai said was nonsense, this time all students in the school were participating, so the time was very tight. He only spoke for about 2 minutes before President Horikita stopped him and was asked to enter the main scene. In this way, following a commotion, the students dispersed into the red and white camps. Then I can only wait for everyone's development in the audience. Little Princess Sakayanagi could only withdraw. But Oreki noticed that she had a camera with her. In other words, it is the same as what I said before, that is to say, I really want to take pictures. But the competition is very compact, and there is nothing else to waste time on. This means that a total of 13 competition events need to be completed today. So Oreki-san had no choice but to return to his team. Not only that. Starting from the first grade boys group, each group of 8 people has to start the 100-meter competition test. The order of the competition is that the first grade boys will start running, and when the third grade girls finish running, an event will end. After inserting a 10-minute break, switch to the opposite mode and continue with another project. It will start with first grade girls and run to third grade boys, and then it will end. Very compact. There are a total of 10 groups for first grade boys. And Oreki-san noticed that as planned with Horikita-san, Suyudo-san from Class C had already been sacrificed. Like his remote-controlled entries, Suyudo will enter the earliest events first. Then he was the first to appear. The purpose is to attract Ryuan's attention. And now, the members of the first group are already in place. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 235. Bump. With the sound of the starting gun, Suyudo rushed out like flying and won the first place with an excellent result of 10 meters ahead of the second place. Is it true that he is cheating in sports? The audience seemed to be surprised, and then began to applaud. Then comes the second group. Without giving people enough excitement, the second group was already in place. But during the third group, there was a commotion among the students. This kind of competition is too boring. Koenjiro Kusuk chose to abstain. He evacuated from the arena on his own. First place. Oreki-san, who was also in the third group, took first place at a slightly faster speed than Hirata-kun from Class C. As a student of Class A, although the individual competition ranking does not earn many points, Oreki-san is still willing to contribute. The next group. Just after the registrar registered everyone's rankings and statistical scores, the next group of students quickly arrived. Very compact. All students in the 3 grades will carry out the same project, with a group of 8 people and more than 400 students in the school. Then you will be given 10 seconds to prepare. And it will take 20 minutes to complete it all. Then there is a 10-minute break. So after Oreki-san completed the 100-meter project, he had some leisurely time. but he also made some preparations. After all, the focus of the sports festival this time is not on participation, or on some despised rewards such as first place and 100 class evaluation points. What's important to Oreki-san is that he can directly recover all the points in Ryuan's hand. So let's test it out a little bit. Let's see if the smart Ryuan classmate has discovered that he is being targeted. Oreki-san has 4 little spies in Class C that he picked up on the ship. But he did not contact them frequently because Long Yuan was a cautious person, so contacting them more meant getting caught easily. At the same time, if you want to get information, there are people who are suitable. Like now. First group. The first group of girls also started. Horikita-san is a member of the first group of first-year girls. The girl from Class D who appears in the scene is Arie Ibuki, who appears to be at odds with Ryuan, but is actually the spy who Ryuan arranged to throw into Class A. However, it was given to Ichino's by Oreki-san, and then Ichino's class was miserable. However, afterward, Ibuki was not embarrassed about meeting the students in Ichino's class again. He is quite a unique person. At the same time, he also demonstrated his sense of justice during the preferential treatment test on the ship. I slapped Manabe on behalf of Oreki-san. And from there, it can be seen that Ibuki's brain is not working well. In other words, it's relatively simple. Now, Horikita Suzun has won the first place, and although Ibuki is closely behind, she is still a little bit behind, and can only regret that she won the second place. Horikita Suzun. Ibuki seems to be a little concerned about losing to Horikita-san. Thanks for your hard work. Oreki-san handed one of the 2 towels to Horikita-san. Then he turned to look at Ibuki. This gesture made Horikita Suzun a little confused. But Oreki is indeed paying attention to Ibuki now. Well. Ibuki seemed stunned for a moment. How about a towel? Oreki-san said. Ibuki. Ibuki will never forget the student from Class A, and Ryuan lists Oreki Houtarou as his enemy. It is also something to be careful about. Certainly. Ibuki felt that there was another person on the ship who regarded her as a sign of justice. Aren't you a student from Class A? Why are you always with Suzun Horikita from Class C? Ibuki asked directly. Almost as soon as Ibuki responded, Oreki knew that Ibuki was similar to Horikita-san. They were both people who didn't understand people's hearts and couldn't read the atmosphere. Because can I ask this directly? But this also shows that Ibuki has no plans. I have some connection with Horikita-san, Oreki-san said. But Ibuki-san, don't you think Suyuta from Class C looks very strong? Almost exceeds the athletic talent of ordinary people, Oreki said. For it. Ibuki seemed to have come to his senses. In other words, did Oreki-san see Suyuta's explosive power and feel less confident? Indeed. The girls were behind the boys in the competition, but Suyuta from Class C was the first to appear. Words such as gap and sex were instantly printed on his face. Oreki Houtarou was in the third group, and Ibuki also saw it. Oreki-san won first place. But he was also ranked first. Oreki's speed was okay, but compared to Suyuta's average speed, it was still not enough. So now the frustration has arisen. Just like she is. She has been in special training since she was a child, and her family also opened a martial arts gym. She was able to beat boys in elementary school, but after junior high school, boys began to gain strength, so she needed to use skills. By high school, the skills were useless. So it's quite frustrating. In the end, can Horikita Suzun beat her? This feeling is really uncomfortable. I was placed in the 2-man, 3-legged event in the recommended event, and then the 1,200-meter all-grade relay. Oreki-san said. If you meet Suyuta, you will always feel a little frustrated. Ibuki. So. That's indeed the case. You won't encounter it? Ibuki said this, and then looked at it, feeling that it was strange to stay here. After all, she, Oreki, and Horikita Suzun were in different classes. Although Ryuan did not prohibit them from talking to anyone, it was indeed strange. So I left here quickly. And Oreki-san has already got the information he wants to know. Ibuki said that they would not meet, which means that Ryuan will deal with Syuda before Syuda can participate in the two-person trip. Therefore, Syuda cannot participate in the two-person three-legged match. The projects that students need to participate in are 100-meter race, hurdle race, inversion contest, men only, netball competition, women only, male and female groups tug of war, obstacle race, 2 people and 3 legs, fight on horseback, 200m race, borrowing items competition, 11 tug of war in all directions, 12 mixed men and women, 2 persons and 3 legs, grade 13 joint 1200-meter relay. Among them, the previous individual events were all participated by the whole grade, and the time was particularly tight. So after some screening, the most suitable project to start with is the reverse stroke competition. Oreki only got 3 recording pens, so naturally they had to be placed in useful places. But after watching Ibuki leave, Oreki-san looked at Horikita-san. Today's holding hands changes the situation. Huh, Horikita Suzun was confused. I want to hug you. It's like an insurance policy, Oreki-san said. Long Yuan is coming fiercely, so there's no telling what he will do. Horikita Suzun. Didn't you sacrifice the pseudo sacrifice? But Horikita Suzun was used to being touched by him, so she didn't refuse. Then she quickly felt Oreki-san's left and right hands reaching into her pants pockets. However, she soon noticed that Oreki-san's left hand was taken out of his pocket. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 236. Then there was a voice recorder on it. In other words, put a recording pen on her body and prevent Ryuan from attacking her. Then, the 4th group is the end of Kushida-san's competition. Kushida finished second. The first place is the seed player from Class D, Kinoshita-san. But Kushida discovered that Horikita-san not only refused to give her a towel when her friend arrived, but also glared at her. Oreki-san just hugged me, Horikita Suzun said. Have you pushed him too hard recently? Oh. So what? Kushida. It's none of her business. However, she also noticed that Horikita held a voice recorder in his hand and put it into his pocket naturally. Chapter 099 Ryuan has already bitten the hook. Horikita, are you okay? Horikita Suzun, don't worry. 20 minutes later. The first round of the 100-meter competition was all over. Under the watchful eyes of the audience, a total of 53 groups from 3 grades completed the competition. In order to show the confrontation between the red and white groups, in addition to the separation of the 2 camps, a huge display screen was set up in the center of the stadium. The scores of the red and white teams are displayed in real time. They are: Red Group, Class A and Class D Alliance, 1,701 points. White Group, Class B and Class C Alliance, 1,300 points. Is a reasonable score. Students in the school are selected based on a series of evaluation criteria of the school. The higher the class, the better the hardware conditions. Among them, Class A is the best. Other classes may only have a few people with good athletic talents in each class, but Class A is full of people. The only one with a slightly lower standard is Class A of the 2nd grade. 2nd grade Class A is Nagamo's class, and he was promoted from Class B in the past. At the same time, Nanyun's class is also the smallest among the second graders. So that's a disadvantage. However, Nagamo was in the second grade class, so arrangements were made in advance. Then there will be no problem with the score. So there was such a beautiful value. Oreki-san got the opportunity from Ibuki that Ryuan might take action, so he made corresponding arrangements. But when he came back, he found a pink girl from Class C with a somewhat rustic twin tail running towards him, panting. "This is Sakura Eri. That. Sakura-san seemed to have just finished her first event not long ago. Still a little out of breath. But she put her hands on her knees and looked over expectantly. "Oreki-kun, did you see me running away?" In fact, Oreki-san just went to make arrangements, so he didn't see Sakura-san's competition. However, Sakura-san is a timid and introverted type, so she would ask this question, which means she has achieved some success. And when Oreki went to find Horikita, he often saw a girl running very slowly but still working hard on the playground. It's like a background. And that girl is Sakura-san. In other words, she actually worked quite hard. "You worked very hard," Oreki-san said. "Congratulations." Yes, Sakura-san held her chest with peace of mind. She doesn't have many friends in this school, and the only ones she can talk to right now are Oreki-san, Horikita-san, Kushida-san, and her new friend Haruka Hospi. But Oreki-san is not someone who evaluates others one-sidedly. So I don't think that Sakura-san's physical fitness is very poor, and then do whatever. After all, everyone has things they are good at and things they are not good at. Being selected by the school is considered to have its own uniqueness. Moreover, Sakura-san is still an idol, and even without these auras, Oreki-san thinks she is quite cute. Like a small pet. His cat was used to coddle Sakayanagi, and he helped Kuruzawa-san bring her hamster into school, but as expected, Sakura-san was the most suitable pet. Or, Oreki-san. And Sakura seemed to notice Oreki-san looking at her in a daze. "Well, it's okay. But the next project will be very troublesome," Oreki said. "Follow the order of the 9 items. 100-meter race. Hurdle race. Inversion contest, men only. Netball competition, women only. Male and female groups tug of war. Obstacle race. 2 people and 3 legs. Fight on horseback. 200-m race. After the 100-meter run, there is the hurdle event. And this is the devil to Sakura-san. The running was already hard, and then doing the hurdles and all that, it was really desperate. Although the little angel students in Class B will give in and even abstain from voting. But it's a pity that they, the sports scumbags of Class C, also need to complete the project. Otherwise, you won't get any points, and you'll still be at the bottom. Although he sympathized with Sakura-san, Oreki also returned to the red team's tent after resting. He is a student of the red group ad league. The red band on his head represents his camp. And it was only by chance that I met Sakura just now, and Sakura is from the white team's camp, so the 2 parties will eventually separate and return to different places. The next step is the hurdle race. Please take your place in the first group of boys. The short break is over and the tight schedule continues. In the hurdle event, Oreki-san was placed in the second group. As luck would have it, the person standing next to him this time was Kanzaki-san from Class B. "I have observed your racing," and Kanzaki-san said. His academic ability is not low, and he is also very talented in sports. When Oreki-san went to the football club to find Nagamo that day, he met him and his classmate Shibata on the football field. If you often run on football, your speed will certainly not be slow, and you will also have the basic ability to recognize other people's physical qualities. But Oreki-kun, you seem to be letting off steam. Release the water. Why do you say that? The 8 first-grade boys in the front group had already rushed out. But Houtarou is still leading the way. Even though it was hurdles, for a man like him whose movements seemed like cheating, he was still 10 meters ahead of his opponents. Quite eye-catching. One applause from the audience again. When Yasuke Hirata from Class C entered school, he also applied to join the football club, Kanzaki said. But I later quit because of issues with classmates in the class. It seems that the relationship between the students in the class is not good and they often quarrel, so he chose to give up trying to appease the students in the class. Profound. That being said, Hirata-san is really having a hard time. I have to be responsible for the students in the class all the time. Certainly. This also shows that for Hirata, the students in the class are very important, even more important than his club activities. So, once a member of Class C is missing, this man will definitely collapse and even do things that are impossible in ordinary times. Because among the students in Class C are Horikita-san, Kurosawa-san, Sakura-san, and Kushida-san, who are related to Oreki-san. So you have to pay a little attention to prevent them from being accidentally injured. And thinking like this, Oreki-san instantly felt that precognitive dreams were good or bad. The good side allows you to understand future character relationships. Quickly confirm whether it is friend or foe. But the worst part is, it also feels like a shackles. It predicts in advance what kind of relationship you and XX will have. Just like an enemy instantly marrying a wife. So at this time, are you continuing to be an enemy of your future housewife? Will he be called domestic violence? Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 237. It makes people feel mixed. Of course, the future is the future. If you stand now, you still have a choice. But if you don't choose, you feel, you will have regrets. So he seems to have been passively accepting it. Thanks to Kushida-san, Oreki-san has learned that he is a pretty terrible person. Of course, as the younger brother, he can also have a plan to ask his sister for help. Only. But I couldn't tell my sister about this adolescent problem. In this way. Oreki-san thought about it in his mind. But now there is a classmate from Class B waiting for his reply. Let the water go. I'm only slightly stronger than Hirata-kun, Oreki said. So there's nothing to say about it? Oh, Kanzaki-san said, and then he was ready to go. Because members of the first group have arrived. Houtarou from Class C won first place. So we quickly arrived at the second group. And Kanzaki-san talked to Oreki-san, and Kanzaki himself was ready to leave, so he could leave faster later. That is to say, Kanzaki-san came to talk to him on purpose. It was also intentional to interfere with him. It seems that the little angels in Class B have also begun to use their best to adapt to this school. So Oreki-san also used all his strength to get first place just a little faster than Kanzaki-san. First place. Oreki-san has reached the finish line. Kanzaki-san only came in second place. Kanzaki-san seemed to be in a daze. Kanzaki's physical fitness is stronger than Hirata's, and what he said just now was actually just to disturb Oreki-san. Although it is not an excellent method, the students in class are really stressful. But now, Oreki Houtarou said that he was only a little faster than Hirata, but after being interfered with, he was even faster than him. In other words, it is indeed a waste of time. The students in class are really difficult to deal with. With that said, he retreated. As a student of Class B, he also has the desire to be promoted to Class A. But for the current Class B, this goal always feels more difficult. We can only hope that he and Shibata can continuously improve their scores in the recommended three-legged mixed male and female competition. As usual, after finishing his project, Oreki-san paid attention to the girls. Then sigh softly. Because in the girls' team, he was the one who pointed out the direction of the appearance form for Class C's Horikita-san. Class C's strategy is to let those with strong athletic talents score points. The boys in Class C have strong athletic ability and can be regarded as seed players: Hirata Yasuke, Tsuda Takeru, Ayanokaji Kiyotaka, and Kojinjiro Kusuke. The girls in Class C have strong athletic abilities and can be considered as seed players: Suzun Horikita, Onodera, and Kushida Kikyo. Result: Takahiraji has confirmed that he will not participate, and Ayanokaji was in the first group with Tsuda, but Ayanokaji only took 5th place. This shows that Chibashira-sensei's trump card still has no intention of showing its prominence. Then there is no need to look forward to it. As for the girls, in the first group of girls, Onodera appears, but Ibuki from Class D joins the fight. As for Horikita-san, she appears in the third group of girls. But this time, she only finished third. Kinoshita from Class D and another girl who was good at sports took first and second place. As for Kushida-san, she also lost and only finished third. There are also 2 outstanding girls from Class D who are good at sports and are in the same group as her. That is to say, sure enough, that's the case. Ryuan's class had already obtained Class C's entry form before they could suppress it in such a comprehensive way. Class C is indeed a place where spies are everywhere. But this has nothing to do with Oreki-san, so don't worry. That's a spy from Class C. What does it have to do with Class A? Rather, Ryuan obtained Class C's entry form and then targeted it accordingly, which also shows that Ryuan dealt with this sports festival very carefully. In other words, Ryuan really wanted to take action against Class C in this sports festival. Then that's a good thing. Oreki-san also spent 300,000 points to arrange a voice recorder. Although the money was not much, he did not want to spend it in vain. But let me ask Horikita-san to pay attention. So, think about it a little. Oreki-san then walked towards the slightly autistic Horikita Suzun, who took third place. Oreki still knew that Horikita-san was the serious type. In order to prepare for this sports festival, she herself also exercised and went for a morning jog at 5-6 o'clock every morning. But now, before I even start to perform, I have already begun to experience that my skills are not as good as others. The Kinoshita and the others you are competing with are members of the dedicated track and field club. They have talent and have been training for a long time, so it is not shameful to lose to them, Oreki said. Horikita Suzun: I know, I'm just a little disappointed. You shouldn't be disappointed, Oreki-san said. Why do you think you, Onodera, and Kushida all faced off against the seeded players in Ryuan's class in the order of appearance? That is to say, Horikita Suzun reacted. That's probably it, Oreki-san said. Long Yuan got your class's appearance list, so he arranged students from his class to play in a targeted manner to suppress your scoring. So Ryuan has already started taking action. That's good for our plan, Oreki said. In his and Horikita's plan, it was speculated that Ryuan would not be able to resist using dirty tricks in this sports festival. Then all they have to do is catch Ryuan's dark tricks. Then report it. Long Yuan already has a record in the student union, and he will be sent to the police if he is reported again. Therefore, at this time, Long Yuan can only compromise. Then even if all the points in his hand are put over his head, he can only agree. So this plan is called the Ryuan stripping plan. The Ryuan class that has no points may be reborn, but for now, it can only be used as an ATM machine. The core of this plan is Long Yuan's violation of regulations. Let him use black tactics. But Ryuan is not stupid. So how to do it? Sacrifice Tsuda. However, now there is a slight change in this plan. Ryuan not only wants to use black means to target Tsuda, but also completely suppress the girls in Class C. This shows that Ryuan may be even more evil and wants to turn Class C into the last one in the sports meeting. Name it. So, It is also possible to target the girl seed players in Class C. The ones in Class C who are good at sports are Horikita-san, Kushida-san and Onodera. Profound. Onodera Oreki-san is not very familiar with him, so he ignores it for now. But you still have to pay attention to Horikita-san. So. It was my lack of consideration before, Oreki-san said. Now that Ryuan suppresses even you girls, sacrificing one Suidu may not be enough. He has ambitions. I suspect that Ryuan not only wants to kill Suidu, but also wants to kill you, Oreki-san said. After all, you have a huge amount of points in your hands. To me. Horikita Suzun was stunned. Horikita knew that during the last project, Oreki hugged her. Then she also put a voice recorder in her pocket. At that time, I felt that I wanted to protect her. Result is the current theory that this voice recorder will come in handy in the future? Don't forget, you are now a little rich woman in the eyes of other students, Oreki said. And Long Yuan is short of money. Moreover, the students in Class C now hand over 4 million because they don't want to be among the bottom 10. Then if Ryuan wants to attack Class C, the points he can squeeze out will shrink. So, I think he probably wants to cheat a few points from you first. Horikita. Is that so? Indeed. After the preferential candidate exam was over, Oreki-san took away half of the points from all candidates. Then the points of each class become richer. If Ryuan wants points, then he should probably squeeze them from Class C, which seems to be the weakest. But because she was very weak, a large number of jocks in the class asked her for help. So it turned out that these students paid 4 million points, and then Oreki-san instructed her to ask Ichi-nose for help, and finally the little angels of Class B agreed to let go. Then she gave the 4 million points collected by the class directly to Oreki-san, and then divided them up with her, Kushida and the other 3. As for Ryuan wanted to collect points and take away all the points from Class C, but they harvested a wave first, so Ryuan felt dissatisfied, so he wanted her to take away the insufficient parts. Complete it. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 238. What a disgusting person, Horikita-san said. That's why I asked you to bring a voice recorder, Oreki-san said. Think of it as protecting yourself. I understand, Suzun nodded. But, I think it's okay to pay attention. After all, I have followed you so many times, and now I think I can handle it. There was a voice recorder again, and I became more vigilant. So the current Horikita Suzun can still be trusted. By the way, what topic are you discussing? Kushida-san also came over. She had just noticed Oreki-san and Horikita Suzun talking, but out of politeness, she did not approach. Now that Oreki was leaving, she came over. It's nothing, Oreki-san said. Because the broadcast is already announcing that the next game after the break will begin. He also needs to be busy here. Boys and girls will be separated in this competition. Boys will participate in reverse shots, while girls will participate in netball. However, he no longer had a voice recorder on hand. If he wanted to get more, he would have to apply to Mr. Majima. Oh, but Kushida-san nodded. So. She showed her a little angel look and then said, "Come on, Oreki-san." She is cute to begin with, and her actions make people feel empowered. But. Thank you, Oreki glanced back. As someone who knew Kushida well, he felt that Kushida-san seemed to be in a good mood. It seemed like something good was about to happen. Obviously, in the hurdle race she just participated in, she lost directly to the 2-seeded contestants from Long Yuan's class. And then it's not just about not being sad or convinced. As a result, are you in a good mood now? Kushida-san's little angel has very strong acting skills, but she doesn't like Horikita-san, so she behaves quite openly when it comes to things related to Horikita-san. In other words, It seems that there is no need to prepare a voice recorder for Kushida-san, or to remind Kushida-san to be careful about Ryuan. Because it has been confirmed that Kushida-chan is also a traitor to Class C today. I sighed slightly in my heart. Kushida-san was still the same as Mirai, always against Horikita-san. And, as speculated, her relationship with Horikita is the relationship between Hoshinomiya-sensei and Shibashira-sensei. The obsession is deep. And if it pulls the opponent's hind legs, then he is willing to use despicable means. But Horikita-san reminded her and gave her a recording pen that can reverse whatever happened, so she should look forward to it. Oreki-san thought. Then he returned to the camp of Class A, the red group. Kamuro-san, who had finished his group's hurdle race and returned to the camp, handed him a towel. "No need," Oreki-san said. "I'm not sweating." Oh, Kamuro-san nodded. She originally wanted to remind him that he smelled of other girls, so he would definitely be discovered when he finally met Banliu-san, but since he thought it was okay, then it would be okay. Therefore, Kamuro-san, who was rejected, remained aloof. Ryuan. Katsuragi-san, the conductor of Class A's sports festival this time, was already waiting there. The boys' reverse stroke competition starts in 8 minutes. The inversion game is, to be precise, the inversion game on the sand. It is a group game of simply and crudely overturning the big wooden stakes in the opponent's camp on the battlefield. Red team versus white team. That is, the boys from Class A and Class D join forces with the boys from Class VB and Class C. Although it is a quite rude game, there are stipulations in the rules. For example, explicit violent beatings and kicks are prohibited. If it is found to be serious, the right to participate will be deprived and the points already obtained will be recovered. However, physical contact such as pushing and pulling can also be supported. At the same time, this is a best-of-3 game. Although the points are not as high as the recommended events, the tug-of-war and reverse pole competitions are events that require the cooperation of Class A and Class D. Previously, Long Yuan took the students directly out of the gymnasium, and did not conduct any relevant cooperative training with their Class A. But now Long Yuan is still long overdue. So Katsuragi felt very dissatisfied. No need to be in such a hurry. Long Yuan also appeared wearing a red belt. Now the red team has the advantage. And didn't your classes score 100 points more than other classes? The current 2 rounds of competition are over, and the scores of the red and white groups have changed again. Red group, Class A and Class D alliance, 3,509 points. White group, Class B and Class C alliance, 2,750 points. At the same time, he is also the score leader of Class A. At present, the scores obtained by students in a class after participating in the competition are also announced in real time. Among them, Class A is in the lead, and it is 100 points ahead. This is very reasonable. On the one hand, the physical fitness of students in Class A is not low. At the same time, because Class B saw Class C's entry form first, they made arrangements based on C's form. This way we can avoid the seed players in Class C, but also because of Our Lady, in the hurdles and 100-meter events, many students have abstained from these events in order to take care of the sports scumbags in Class C. So the current score is slightly lower. On Long Yuan's side, they specifically arranged for the seed players of their own class to suppress Class C. In this way, scores were slightly lower on these individual items. But Ryuan always gave Katsuragi the aura of a dangerous man. Ryuan, so, what do you want to do this time? Don't worry, Long Yuan said. I won't do anything to you Class A in this exam. Oh. So what do you want to do next time? Oreki-san, on the other hand, sat quietly in the base camp of his class, staring at Ryuan-san. Ryuan has already begun to suppress the girls in Class C to get points, so he definitely can't let Tsuyu, a fool, participate in the recommended event of 2-person and 3-person mixed gender events to get points. Moreover, Houtarou's physical fitness is also among the top in the school. Probably only Horikita Manabu, Ayanokaji Kiyotaka, and Kojinji can suppress them. There are some students in Ryuan's class who are top athletes, but no one can surpass Houtarou in terms of physical fitness. So no one cares, then Houtarou can really continue to win first place in the mixed male and female 2-person 3-legged competition. And this is certainly not what Long Yuan wants to see. The only things that can deal with Houtarou this time are the inversion contest and the horseback fight. So, Long Yuan, please start your performance. 8 minutes later, the first grade boys came to the battlefield. AD Alliance vs BC Alliance. There were no girls in the audience and the girls were sent to the netball competition. But the students on both sides are ready. Oreki-san and the others are in the red team. In the first round of the red team, people from Class A defend the flag, while Class D attacks the enemy. The white team is Class B defending and Class C attacking. All boys are in place. Houtarou, who has the best physical fitness on the white team, has a lot to say. Ryuan Nimas. Houtarou came on stage and first mocked Ryuan. There was nothing that could be done about it. Houtarou himself was a grumpy old man. Although he participated in Oreki-san's plan to pit Ryuan into a fight, it was true that he was ridiculed and called a coward by Ryuan. At the same time, the two of them probably had some contact in private. For example, Houtarou was caught and beaten by Ryuan again. And now, a barking dog has no momentum at all. Long Yuan acted calmly. Ha ha ha. The boys from Class D behind Ryuan laughed. Oreki-san Katsuragi felt that it was not safe to arrange for the students to rush with Ryuan. We just need to conserve our energy, Oreki-san said. This kind of event that involves a large number of participants and requires physical strength will not get many points. You have to know that there are a lot of competitions ahead, so energy conservation is the best, Oreki said. It would be better to say that it would be a good thing for Ryuan class to consume more. I see. 2. Katsuragi-san nodded. So he ordered the students to just play support. But start, following the referee's voice, the boys from Class D in Long Yuan's class rushed out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 239. And very cruel. They only targeted Houtarou and surrounded them. Houtarou was indeed a loser. He let out a roar and single-handedly fought off the 4 surrounding Class D students. Chapter 100 Suzun's plea for help. Oreki-san, come here. Oreki, well, I'm used to it. Houtarou's athletic talent is very strong, close to being a loser. If you consider athletic talent alone, then he is in the category of Class A, and can even be ranked in the top 3 among the boys in Class A. But it's a pity. Houtarou is strong, but the students in his class are weak. Houtarou. Although Hirata-kun tried hard to rescue, he was cut off in the middle. Sorry, your opponent is us. The bespectacled Kaneda and Ishizaki Daiichi from Class D blocked Hirata's path. It seems that Class D is well aware of the athletic talents in their class. Special manpower was assigned to block it. And examples are like Kanji Ike or Yamauchi, no one pays attention to them. Hee. Ryuan and Albert took the lead and began to rush towards the white team's position. The boys from Class D around him also formed a circle to support him. The attack pattern is probably that Albert hits the white team's pole, and Ryuan follows closely behind. Then, probably after discovering Ryuan's attack power, the auxiliary boys from Class A also took action, leaving 10 people to continue guarding the camp, but the remaining 10 people immediately began to assist. Get out of my way dash. Houtarou had already exerted his strength and pushed the 4 people surrounding him away with one burst of strength, while at the same time he rushed towards the red group's pole. Are you coming? There is no need for Oreki-san to speak, Hashimoto is going to fight first. But at this time, boom! The whistle signaling the end of the game was blown. The red pole in front of Houtarou was still standing firmly. In other words, the white group's pole has been pushed. No dash. Houtarou realized that he had just escaped from the entanglement of 4 Class D boys. As a result, had the Class B boys who were guarding the white team's camp lost directly. Lost. The first reverse pole game ended with the pole of the white group being pushed first. Houtarou, your personal ability is indeed very strong, Ryuan turned around and said. But what's the use? And this is a competition. If you can't protect the base camp, you lose. So, rubbish. Ryuan said mockingly. Then take the team to prepare for a rest. After the first game, there will be a short 5-minute break. The reverse stroke competition adopts a best of 3 rounds system. So just one more win is enough. Oreki-san watched Ryuan's performance from a distance. Class A and Ryuan's class are now on the same team, so Ryuan's outstanding performance also represents extra points for the red group. It can be regarded as being taken away. Certainly. Ryuan would definitely not play such a serious game. The momentum on the white team's side suddenly became much weaker. Why did you lose so quickly? During the 5-minute break, Houtarou put his hands on his hips to show his anger. The targets of anger were the boys of Class B who were guarding the camp. Are you people in Class B just good at studying? Can't even see a pole? Weak chicken. Houtarou looked quite dissatisfied. Shibata and Kanzaki-san were also troubled by the fact that their side of the pole was overturned by Albert. Although their athletic ability is not bad either. But the real start of the reverse stroke game is that you push me to shift gears, and they are not good at it. Not to mention, Kanzaki and Shibata are used as weapons for Class B to get the scorecard bug in the recommended 3-legged mixed-gender 3-legged project. So I am worried about losses due to melee. For example, if he sprains his ankle or something like that, it will not only drag down the class but even make it impossible to continue to score points. If it really turns out to be Nizuki, Kanzaki thinks he can drop out of school. So naturally there is no way to stop it with your heart. Houtarou, please stop saying a few words. Hirata-kun hurriedly tried to persuade him. Ryuan and the others are coming with such ferocity that no one could have predicted. What about you? Houtarou turned to look at him. When I was surrounded, none of you came over. And this is clearly a case of emotions running high. He had a great start today, but he was surrounded. He also knew that he was being targeted by Ryuan. It was incomprehensible that no one came to help. Yes, what can I do dash? When he noticed that he was glared at, Chi Kwanzi said. They're coming with such force. Besides, I wanted to help, but I fell down. The skin on my hands is also broken. Yes, I was knocked down too. Yamauchi also hurriedly spoke. Many of the students in the Ryuan class are good at fighting from various junior high schools, or are delinquents who are very good at fighting. And a rude move like the reverse stroke game is even more handy. But for the boys from Class B and the former Class D who had just been promoted to Class C, it was simply impossible to resist. So when they saw Ryuan and the others being aggressive, they immediately gave way. If I accidentally get injured, what will happen to the subsequent competitions? Chi Kwanzi said. This is only the 3rd individual event. All students are required to participate in 9 events. 100-meter race. Hurdle race. Inversion contest, men only. Netball competition, women only. Male and female groups tug of war. Obstacle race. 2 people and 3 legs. Fight on horseback. 200M race. And it is true that we have only entered the third project now, and you must know that most of the students in the class have not participated in the recommendation project. Therefore, individual points can only be obtained in these projects. Even the individual scores will not be very high. After all, compared with other students, their athletic ability is still insufficient. In other words, if you are injured, you can basically be sure that you will be at the bottom in all subsequent events. Even if the students in Class B give in, they will be at the bottom. Therefore, there are also quite a few boys who are unwilling to take risks and contribute. Then of course Houtarou would have no one to support him. But Houtarou just wanted to roar. He originally thought that he was good at sports and would do well in this sports meeting. As a result, everyone is getting angry now. And the students in the class are completely useless. I will guard the base camp in the next game. Houtarou said. I'm going to hold the pole, I don't believe you anymore. Thus, the 5-minute rest period ended. The two sides exchanged venues. It stands to reason that two classes in a team would also exchange offense and defense at this time. But we, Class A, will continue to stay behind, Katsuragi-san said steadily. This is also being discussed with Long Yuan. He. Ryuan glanced at Oreki-san, but did not refuse. In other words, if Oreki wanted to keep up, he would be a little stressed. So it's best to leave the bad guy Oreki Houtarou in the camp. Then, the students of Class A continued to leave some members to stay in the camp, and then some assisted Ryuan to stop some members of the white group. The boys from Long Yuan class continued to be responsible for the attack. Probably wanting to attack with all their strength, all the boys in Ryuan's class gathered together. In fact, the reverse stroke competition is very beneficial to the Ryuan class. Whether it is Ryuan himself, Ishizaki who is a little expert in fighting, or even Albert, the bodyguard next to Ryuan, they are all strong, like a loser. However, their behavior was slightly unusual. That is, 20 boys rushed directly towards the white team's camp. And they are very fast. This was originally a battlefield, and when running, large amounts of sand and dust were thrown up, which temporarily affected the field of vision. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 240. But this time on Team White's side, Houtarou didn't trust Class B no matter what, so he had to guard the pole by himself. The students in Class B had no choice but to take charge of the offense. But Long Yuan's move this time is very unique. They watched the students in Class B separate themselves to stop them, but they didn't care about the students in Class B at all. Rather say, as soon as the students from Long Yuan class entered the white group's base camp, they immediately spread out and formed a human wall to isolate the students from Class B. This state also surrounded several boys from Class C and Houtarou who were guarding the pole together. There seems to be no problem. This is a tactic. But quickly. Who's kicking me dash? In the dust, Houtarou made a sound. He was right next to the white group's pole, holding the pole tightly with both hands to support it and prevent it from being overturned. Then Houtarou also discovered something was wrong. Ryuan, you actually add more people dash. Where have you all gone? Houtarou called out. I was hit. I can't let go now. And Hirata-san, who was originally willing to stay behind the pole with him, also noticed something was wrong. Because obviously there were at least 7 or 8 classmates who stayed here to guard the white group's pole just now. But Houtarou's classmates seemed to be empty. Wrong. Hirata noticed that although Ryuan surrounded them with a human wall, there was an empty seat. Then several boys from Ryuan class began to beat Houtarou violently. During this process, Houtarou was also surrounded by several classmates, like Outer Village, Chi, and Yamauchi and the others. But Chi and Tamura and others in the class who were trapped by the human wall of Ryuan class crawled out through the gap in the empty human wall of Ryuan class. That is to say, now that Suyudu is being bullied, have they all run away? So, is Suyudu the only one being bullied now? Long Yuan, what you did has gone too far. This is a violation. But Hirata's voice was drowned out. Because he himself was surrounded. Being pulled away forcefully. Heh, what if I just broke the rules? The red-haired man in the wall came to Suyudu, who had been kicked more than a dozen times and was still struggling to hold the pole with both hands. It's so pitiful. No one will care about you in this state. And the pole you are protecting. Ryuan paused. Then he stepped on Suyudu's face. Knock it down. Ryuan gave the order. Yes, boss. Albert exerted force suddenly. After Suyudu was stepped on, Albert's power also arrived. For fear of being involved, the surrounding students hurriedly avoided it. The white group's pole fell to the ground in a cloud of dust. Beep. The referee blew the whistle. It means that the end of this inversion game is still the victory of the red group. The front is really cruel. In the red team's position, Oreki-san and the others were guarding their side's pole. And because of the hard work of other students in the class, the little angels from Class B couldn't rush through. But one could see dust flying in the white group's position. Generally speaking, running cannot stir up so much dust, but several people in the Long Yuan class have been running quickly to stir up dust, and the flying dust obscures the sight of others. In other words, Long Yuan did it deliberately. However, Long Yuan actually used this method. Katsuragi-san's eyes became serious. Because Long Yuan's actions were already on the verge of violating regulations. It's a bit of a pity. If we follow them, we might be able to obtain evidence of Ryuan's violation, but we are worried about being accidentally injured. Hashimoto-san, who was also in the position, said. He is a flexible man. I also feel very keenly that Ryuan is violating the rules, so if the evidence can be collected, it can be put to good use, but it will also be bad if he gets hurt if he breaks in. He was arranged to participate in the 1,200-meter relay race, which was a big event. At the same time, it is also a time for him to show himself, and he does not want anything to go wrong because of this. It's just that the students in Class C have no hope of winning. Does Ryuan need to be so targeted? Katsuragi said. Katsuragi is a loyal person and does not approve of Ryuan's violent behavior. At the same time, does he think it is necessary for Ryuan to target Suyudu like this? Necessary. Because Katsuragi-san doesn't understand. This sports festival, which seems to require all students to participate, actually has a bug. In the sports festival guide that Oreki-san provided to Class C, the sports scumbags were basically ignored, but having a good sports guy can still score a lot of points for the class. Especially the three-legged place where men and women are mixed. The three legs of boys and girls are very different. Boys are very physically strong, so even girls cannot keep up with the speed of boys. Then that's okay. He was dragged away directly by the boys. Suyudo's physical fitness allowed him to directly bear the weight of his partner and continue to move forward and win first place. Suyudo's physical ability and performance impressed everyone. It's very strong. There probably isn't a physical Superman of this level in Ryuan's class. So, as long as Class C has Suyudu, a bad sports guy, it is still possible to get the score back. And Ryuan wanted to attack in this sports festival, so he naturally would not let Suyudo continue to score points. After all, Ryuan has been losing in several exams, so he also needs to win. Then the only option is to quickly shorten the gap in class evaluation scores between classes. In this way, Suyudo from Class C must be dealt with, and Suyudo cannot be allowed to continue to score points. It seems that Suyudo will no longer fight for Class C. After Oreki-san paused while looking at the dust in front of him, Suyudo said as he left angrily. Yes. Houtarou will no longer fight for Class C. Not to mention the useless companions around him, even when he was being bullied, no one came to rescue him, and even the pole he was desperately guarding was pushed down. So what else does he do? Quit. I originally hated Junji, but now I suddenly feel that Junji is really prescient. These people are not worth his effort. Therefore, Houtarou left the scene without looking back, and the direction he headed was towards the student dormitory. Specifically, there will be a 10-minute rest period after the inversion game. Then comes the next tug of war. But Houtarou is absent. At the tug of war scene, there were only 19 boys in Class C. After the four-way tug of war, time was tight to continue arranging the boys' horseback riding battles. In the subsequent boys' horseback riding battle, Houtarou was still absent, and Hirata from Class C was also absent. Probably because he wanted to try his best to persuade Houtarou to come back. Beep. And the referee blew the whistle. At this moment, the scores of the red and white teams displayed in real time on the display screen have also changed. They are: the red group, Class A and Class D Alliance, has 5,751 points. White group, Class B and Class C Alliance, 4,130 points. The scores of the two large groups are constantly increasing. But when it came time for the boys to have sex, Hirata Yasuke from Class C seemed to be in a depressed mood. At the same time, you can see that he was wrapping his face in a towel after he came back. After a while, 3 band-aids were stuck on his face. Rather than accidentally bumping into something, it was more like being punched directly by someone. So even if you put a band-aid on it, you can still see the swelling. It seems that Hirata can't persuade Houtarou. At the same time, he was also covering up the signs of being roughed up by Houtarou. Snort. Ryuan paid attention to Hirata's reaction, and then continued with the next exam. To deal with Houtarou, you can use violence, but direct violence will be detected. At the same time, Houtarou's body is very strong and can be beaten very well. If he keeps beating Houtarou, he will only continue to be stubborn. So Ryuan chose to destroy Houtarou's confidence. Alienate, and then force Houtarou away. He had contact with Houtarou more than once, and when Houtarou Oreki arranged for Houtarou and Koharaji to fool him into fighting, he discovered that Houtarou, this guy, just looked fierce, but was actually very timid. Therefore, even if Hirata wants to persuade him to come back, it is useless.